Hello, we're just coming off a manifest, and I'm sure you've heard all about the conference at this point, seen lots of videos. We want to talk about a few different points of view today, and what different types of impact that manifest has on our businesses. My name is Nate Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of GLCS, and this is the Driving Forward podcast. Follow us on all major streaming platforms, including YouTube. To interact with us, you can reach out to us at drivingforward@glcs.net. And don't forget to like, share, and comment. Today on our panel, we have Don Salvucci. I'm going to screw your name up, Don.
Everybody does.
Salvucci-Favier.
Hey,
Someday
you
I'll
got
get
it.
it right. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. She's the CEO and Chief Product Officer at Greenscreens. Don, you want to do a quick intro on yourself?
Sure. So, hey, everybody. Great to be here. Nate, thanks for having me on the show. Robert, Susan, always good to see you. Or Bain. I don't know why I just called you Robert.
Yeah.
It was in my face. So Don Salvucci-Favier, again, CEO, Chief Product Officer at Greenscreens.ai. We are a predictive pricing technology solution for freight brokers and 3PLs.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, Don. I'm super excited to have you here. And Susan and Bain, you want to give us a quick intro, your common faces here, but
Okay,
ladies first.
Yeah, thank you. Such a gentleman. Susan Mayo, I'm the Director of Sales for GLCS. I've been in the industry for about 30 years, and I work with our existing customers, partners, and prospects here at GLCS.
Robert Bain, fairly new to GLCS, been around the transportation space for almost 20 years. I am the strongest man in logistics, and my role here at GLCS is pushing us closer towards world domination.
fair enough. Love it. So world domination it is.
Little goals.
Feels like that sometimes. Well, we got to start somewhere. So, we'll rock that and see what happens. So Don, coming out of manifest, you and I are both sharing a bit of a sickness. So I'm gonna put the clause out there ahead of time. If either one of us dark out, we're probably blowing our nose or doing something gross that we don't want on camera. And I know that conference was a bit intense, and I'm feeling it this week in a big way. And I wanted to have this panel. Susan and Bain and I were there representing GLCS, and we did not have a booth, primarily because as GLCS, we kind of have a policy where our first year at any conference, we don't typically have a booth. We do a walk first. We learned a few years ago that it's a great way to waste money. Even though I think in our hearts we knew we probably should have had a booth, but we also don't want to underrepresent either. But you guys did have a booth. You've had a booth a couple of years now. Do you want to talk about sort of your experience, being a booth owner and how that's worked for you? Sort of what your feelings are on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, the Manifest, this was the third year, right? The first year that they had Manifest, I was at another conference the week before, and people were like, hey, you're going to Manifest next week. And I was like, what the hell's Manifest? I've not even heard of this. And I'm like, they're like, apparently you're not going then. But it was just a couple of weeks later that Pam, actually, who is the organizer and Manifest, the CEO of Connective, reached out to me to ask me to be on a panel last year, which I agreed to do. And then I was like, well, I'm going to be there anyway. Let's look into a booth sponsorship. So last year was our first year exhibiting at Manifest. And like you, it wasn't we're not going to get a booth, we're going to walk, but we did get a 10 by 10, right? Kind of entry level booth just to kind of test the conference. It was relatively inexpensive, right? For budgetary wise to get a 10 by 10. Manifest 2023 was by far the most profitable event that we did the entire 2023, and we did 17 events last year. And that was even with us sending 8 people, right? So we sent 8 people and had a 10 by 10 booth. And that's kind of our strategy is we show up in force when we go to some of these larger shows, right? So no matter what our booth size is, we just show up in force and walk the floor as well as work the booth. So anyway, 2023 was by far the most successful event that we did for the year was Manifest. So of course we doubled down, more than doubled down on our investment this year, and sent 14 people. And I think we're going to talk a lot about all of this, but just the level of engagement and the momentum, and I think you guys are using the gravity. It was by far one of the most exciting conferences I've been to. I'll just leave it there because there's a lot that we can talk about this year's Manifest.
Nate and I were just trying to stop by and say hi to you. I think it took us 2 days before we could actually cut through the crowd to get to you, just to shake your hand. So
Yeah,
certainly
was
visible. You've got your green shirts, but just, I couldn't wait to talk to you about it. Just in terms of the numbers. It was incredible to watch you guys. One of the most popular booths at the conference.
It was exciting, and that's just because we're cool and people just want to hang out. I'm just,
right.
I'm totally kidding about that. No,
no
it
BS
was,
like GS.
no, no BS, just GS.
Just GS. Oh, sorry, my bad.
So the green screens drip it's top tier. Like it's
yeah, absolutely.
For those t-shirts, I told you, Dawn, I sent a picture. So I actually wore that t-shirt out on Friday when I went out in Vegas with my friends. And of course, BS, we all know what that typically stands for. So everyone kept asking, like, so no BS, it just G stuff. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what does gangster like that.
So, and then of course, when you sent me that, because I'm old, I had to look up what G stuff is because I didn't know. So it was an unintentional meaning behind it, but we're going with it.
It's so good.
It works.
Yeah.
So for those of you that
So
don't know, go look. And sometimes Urban Dictionary can be a scary place. This time it was not, and it was very appropriate. So yeah, it was awesome. And that was not intended, but it works.
Yeah.
Hey, take the W.
I thought it was awesome. So, and you guys had perfect positioning there. And that's actually what, I mean, I love having you on the show, but when you and I talked and you gave me your number for your return on the show from last year, that's what made me initially want to reach out to you. Cause that's the feeling of Manifest, is that this is a different kind of conference, right? It's not your traditional conference. It's not a technology solutions conference. It's not a association conference. It's just got a different feel to it. We're coming out of it with an inordinate number of leads, an inordinate number of possibilities. I'm not even sure I want to call them leads. They're just a lot of possibilities. So we're tracking a whole bunch of different things, and it's like, how do you do all of this in such a short period of time? So we're kind of pacing ourselves. So and we respond kind of like you guys do. When we show up with a booth, we show up with an army of people. That's been our kind of modus, 7-8 people. That's a lot for us. So we're not too many people smaller than you guys are. So so when we're going to make a presence, we're going to definitely make a presence. So we have yet to make a presence together with you guys, and I can't wait until
There's
that
always
actually
next
happens.
year. Yeah, there's always next year.
So Kevin and I have talked about that. When it does happen, it'll be a lot of fun because I think our cultures intertwine well. So yeah, you guys had a ton of people, just the gravity. So that's the term that we're kind of coining, the conference gravity. And Greenscreens had very strong gravity around your booth, partially, because of your location, mostly because of, how awesome you guys are, and people would have just hunted you anyway. And then also partially because you had a bar at your booth too. So,
That might have been strategic. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And kudos to our marketing team, by the way. Celine, our marketing director, I believe she actually set her alarm clock early the day that booth selection opened, and strategically selected that location. Part of our sponsorship had the bar in it, so we of course knew that we were going to have a bar. But yeah, so kudos to Greenscreens marketing.
Yeah,
Ladies did a great
that's
job. Yeah, and the shirts, right? That was all them. The branded Hawaiians and the football jerseys. I can't wait to see what they do next.
yeah. You guys always nail it there. So we're kind of mimicking you guys there. I'll be honest. So we had
What do they say? The best form of flattery? What it?
absolutely
Imitation.
Payment.
imitation.
Payment, yes, is the best. Actually, the best form, but imitation is the best form of flattery.
Right.
So we'll
Fair
take it.
enough.
Yeah. Nah, love to work with you guys, and we got a lot coming up too with other conferences. But that's
Right.
not what we're here to talk about today.
That's not. So, so kind of moving that along. So you got great value out of it. Did you find that you had time to actually go through the conference, or were you just attached to your booth?
I was pretty much attached to the booth. There were individuals. So as an example, our product manager and our CTO were in attendance, and specifically to our product manager, but also our CTO. You know, what I said to our product manager is like, look, everybody else that's here, it's their job to sell. Your job is to listen, right? So go to these sessions, walk around, talk to other people. But even like my salespeople and my customer success people would be, hey, I want to go listen to this session, or I want to go walk the other room, right? Because there were 2 rooms of exhibit hall this year, which is different. They didn't have that last year. It was just the one main room. So, you know, everybody did circulate, and I walked around a few times and of course had some conversations, but I personally was pretty tied to the booth.
Yeah.
But that being said, you know, that is part of the value that we get out of it as a tech provider, and I'm sure you as a service provider, is just being out there. Where do you get a better opportunity to have access to 5,000 of your closest friends in logistics, and B, just it was so content rich, right? The content was good and relevant, and just to be out there in the market and hearing both firsthand from those one-on-one conversations, but also attending those really cool sessions. What the true business pains are, and how people are attacking those pains. And I think they made a slight format change to the sessions this year, because I was on a panel last year and they were like 25 minutes or 35 minutes. And if you had a panel of 3 or 4 people, there's just not enough time to speak in
Right.
any depth on anything. So I believe they extended the duration of the panels this year, which I think was a good change.
And admittedly, so from my side, walking the conference this year, not having a booth, I probably in the future will prefer to anchor myself to a booth. It was impossible to get done. This is the first conference ever where I have not been able to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. Typically, I go in with a mission and I'm able to accomplish that mission unless something unexpected happens. And there's just so much going on that I couldn't get there. I didn't attend. I attended one session briefly, and then I had to move on. There was not enough time for me to go to any of the sessions. I had too many partners, too many meetings, too many things to go to. So a booth to anchor and allow everyone to kind of come to me instead, I think would be a lot easier in the future. So if you're someone in kind of our scenario, that would function. Certainly, I don't have a problem going out for a meeting, but I couldn't make it to where I needed to go. You know, that was part of my issue, is because there's 5,000 people that, you know, or a percentage thereof, you couldn't actually get to the other side of the hall in a timely manner. You'd get stopped 20 times. So
Right,
that was so to have that booth where even though you get stuck there for 12 hours, you know, so you get to stare at Ryder in your case and their putt golf. I think you guys were across from Ryder, right?
we
So
were.
they had kind of that neat thing.
Ryder and Flexport were, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you get to stare at that for a while, but at least you know, people are coming to you instead of you having to go to them, which was there is an advantage to that. So I did not get done everything that I wanted to get done at Manifest because of that. And so next year we'll correct that. Certainly. Something that we noticed, and Bain's going to return here in a minute. He's got a thing going on. The quality of the attendees. So typically at conferences, you have just large teams of people coming. For whatever particular reason, there's just the highest quality of attendees. And I don't mean that to belittle others, but the conversations that I had at Manifest were deep. And they'd start at 7:30 in the morning and they'd end at 9 o'clock at night. And they were of the highest level. I'm not sure if that's because I didn't have a booth or if I did have a booth. So you can, and I've had some of these conversations with Bain and Susan. So Bain and Susan, feel free to chime in. Like, I haven't had these conversations with you guys before too, but we'd start in the morning and end in the evening, and the conversations would just be deep around the highest level of problems in the industry across the board. Is that something that you guys felt as well? There at a normal conference, I don't experience that. You have some level of that, but, and I keep saying normal conference at another industry conference, I don't have that. At Manifest, I am having that. So it's constant deep.
Yeah.
I think you hit on the head, Nate. Like, it isn't a normal conference. You look at all the parameters that go into Manifest, right? It's the first big conference of the year around supply chain. It has a very different format than so many other conferences. I joked about this. You got people are in new roles. You have new goals and KPIs are in place. They have fresh marketing budgets. So, there's all that. And you put all these things together. And now we're in the situation, especially over the pain of 2023, where some people are like, okay, we're 1 quarter away from salvation, right? And we keep dealing with all this.
Yeah.
People came in very ready to say, we're just going to lay our cards on the table. Like, we need help. We want to work with people that are here. So who can work with us? Who can, I know we'll talk about partnerships. All that, like, what can we do to address these issues, not fix, but address these issues and get us ready for a tightening of the market and for when it's going to be a little simpler as far as from a profitability perspective. And then what can we do to make ourselves better? Everything about, like, to your point, the high level conversations, high level individuals, but everybody's laid their cards on the table almost from the jump.
Yeah.
The other word besides,
go ahead.
Other word besides gravity for me is collaborate. And I don't even like using the word lead. Did we get some great leads out of this? Yes. Partners and trucking companies, non-asset, 3PL, all of that. But I told Nate when I got there, I almost felt like I had missed something because this group was prepared. They understood the assignment. The sessions were packed. They were engaged. There wasn't a lot of just wandering around in the exhibit hall either. Everybody knew where they were going. And I was just thinking, what did I miss? And it's just the vibe of the whole group. They're there to get stuff done. And then subsequently, the engagement, the post conference engagement is like nothing I've ever seen. So, I heard a really shocking statistic while I was there. And I think it was the panel that Schneider Electric was on, or maybe DHL. Maybe that was the same panel. But only about 20% of the companies have been able to adopt newer technology. And by newer, I mean stuff that's been coming out in the last 5 years. And I know on recent podcasts, we've talked about that. How do we help our customers adopt the technology? But one of the ways to do that is to partner with their partners, right? So when they think they're just engaging with us, turns out we're really with something else that they've already, adopted. We're helping them get there faster. It came up today. GLCS has a commercial integration. We've had it for years. We've done it over and over, rinse and repeat, right? We have a great trucking company that we're working with that's invested in some newer technology. Turns out we're super close to this company. So the relief on their faces, and when they realize that we know them, because they're not going to have to start from zero and explain what they want to do. We already know we're all headed in the same direction. And when we can consolidate our solutions, not just solutions, but our services and our thought leadership, that's going to make it that much easier for companies to adopt this newer technology. So for me, as being in sales here, I struggle with being on the road because you still got your day job. But in this respect as well, this saved me 2 or 3 meetings as well, because we spent the time at the conference. We're getting to know these partners. We're making plans to do cool stuff with them. And then lo and behold, one just falls in our lap today. And we all know and love the same people. Now we're going to figure out how we're all going to work together. So it just, there was my ROI, just seeing all these companies come together today.
That's awesome. Yeah. And look, I would say a third of our really valuable conversations that we had at Manifest were partners, not,
Yeah.
I think it was a third existing customers, a third potential new customers, a third partners, either existing or, because a huge part of our strategy is partnership. But before I talk about partnerships, I wanted to pull on something. I think the one thing that's different about Manifest is if you look at all the conferences that serve our industry, and our friends at Freightvana, they have that list of all the industry conferences. It's gotten so fragmented, and some of them are very niche-y specialized, right? I think Manifest is one of the few, if only, truly global multimodal, not specialty industry, right? Because TPM is ocean container shipping, and TCA is more carrier focused, and TIA is more broker focused, and on and on and on. Like I said, we did 7. We sell exclusively to brokers and 3PLs, and we did 17 conferences last year. So just think about all the different conferences are. But I think Manifest is the truly global, multimodal carriers, shippers, 3PLs, brokers, bringing everybody together. And going in last year, I was hesitant. I was like, because we were only selling to brokers, was there enough of an audience there for us? And again, it turned out to be our best show, and certainly the same again this year.
Yeah. No, I didn't go last year. I heard about it, and then I saw all the feedback out of it, and I thought this year, at the very least, we're going to walk and just use it as a media push. And then it ended up not being as much media. I mean, there certainly was some media, but we and branding, but it ended up being more of a customer based push than I thought it was going to be. And it was missing carriers. It's missing the trucking side of it. There are not enough carriers there. So that'll be a message that we'll be echoing out to our 200 and some odd carriers that we work with on a monthly basis, that, hey guys, you need to show up here. We did have some customers there from the carrier side. We did have some customers there on the non-asset side, on the brokerage side, but largely on the carrier side, we were missing a lot of representation, and they need to come. So, I think Manifest could double in size. I see again. I don't know how infrastructure wise that can happen without us all going insane. But
well, they're moving it. They're moving it to the Venetian for next year,
Yeah.
which is a much larger facility. Which I can't believe they've already outgrown the Forum, but good for them.
Yeah,
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. At least I can go back to my normal conference mojo of being able to go back to my room during the day then. So get the room at the Venetian and be able to slide back to it during the day, even though hopefully there'll be enough rooms at the Venetian for everybody. At least the advice there is book your room early. So
book early. We actually booked early because we realized Super Bowl was the same week. So yeah, we booked very early, and then actually ended up canceling all of our reservations and rebooking at a lower rate. But that's another story.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess I didn't really pay too much attention to that. I had heard some people got in a lot cheaper than I was at, although I wasn't unhappy with the rate that I had. I did book in, I think, November. So I probably will have to pay more attention to that next year. So I'm gonna have to mute out here just 1 second. That conference bug is catching up with me. So
So where do you guys, while he's muted, where do you guys think the most value that you guys got out of it? I mean, was it the partner discussions? Was it the customer discussions? Was it learning? Was it multifaceted?
Yeah, it absolutely is multifaceted. I mean, you see the new technology, I think, is so important. I think in all of our roles, everyone on this panel and many of the folks that are listening right now, one of the reasons that we're trusted partners with our clients or with our is because we understand the landscape and we know and have at least seen and are introduced to what's new out there. That's one of the things I hear the most when we talk to customers is we just don't understand, like TMS as an example. How many TMSs are out there and what they do and what's good, and here's the thing: it's not that a TMS is good or bad; it's just doesn't fit your application or not. And then can you adopt it? Can you implement it? And so understanding what those limitations are going to be for those providers, that's a huge piece. Certainly the connections, the partnerships, all that is incredible. And I mentioned this on Word on the Street that the personal branding, I think, was probably on display more than I've ever seen at any other conference. You had, Freight Caviar was there. You had the Beta Consulting, Word on the Street. You had Truck and Hustle. All the big names when it comes to those personal brands and those, kind of media outlets, aside from the major ones like a Freightways or something like that, are all represented there. And you get to kind of, be around these people. The whole Freight X community was all sitting around one little booth at one point on Tuesday morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, like these are all the guys that run all these these tweets and everything, and like they're all just chilling in the same spot.
But it's Vegas, baby.
It is Vegas. It's a beautiful thing.
That's the draw, right?
Yes. So I think that was kind of what I got. Is it multifaceted, and then a couple fanboy moments for me too. Just personally, that was pretty dope. Getting to meet Ben Gordon and knows who I am. So that was cool.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you should have seen that. I've said this a couple times now, and I'm gonna just keep saying it because it's a different audience every time. But the puppy look, he belonged in the puppy park when Ben Gordon came up to him. So Ben Gordon walked maybe 10 steps to come over to see the strongest man in logistics. And the look on Bain's face just went, ugh. And you could have put him in the puppy pet park right at that time, and it was great. So
I don't get starstruck.
Kind of like that. It looked kind of like.
So I just don't. And
I'm impressed.
It was awesome. Like the biggest thing is it was very humbling, right? That obviously the stature of someone like that, and obviously he's a partner of your all's. And so the idea that he would come up and specifically seek me out was it was very humbling. It was very exciting to experience. So thank you.
Yeah, I think
I won't take credit for it. It's your brand, sir, not mine.
At the time, I think though, if you think about the audience, I think we had John Lynch and Alex Mai and yourself and Chris Thomas and a bunch of other people just standing around us too. So it was like the perfect audience to have him.
Yeah, it was a trip.
So he didn't come over to say hi to them. He came over and said hi to you. So
yeah, I said very humbling.
It was good. Yeah. So that was great. I think my takeaway, the largest takeaway. Well, first off, I agree on the personal branding. We've talked a lot about personal branding. If you're not championing personal branding as a business and you have people that want to drive themselves, I know, Don, you have a bunch of people that are large on their personal brands, and you and I have never had this conversation before, but I certainly feel this way, which is if someone wants to drive their personal brand and they're respectful, I'm all about helping them in any way, shape, or form for them to do that. And Manifest or any conference, but Manifest was a way to just go big. Everybody that's anybody was there. So we saw a lot about that, a lot of messages, so much so that I think it was hard to see any major spikes in messaging. You saw some, but it wasn't like a normal conference that I would see a huge spike. I'm sure certain people had certain things happen, but so personal branding was awesome. I think the overall the awareness. So if you wanted to research something, and in my mind, I've had the final mile space for me. And I know that there's a conference this week in Vegas for final mile, but there's no way I was going to go to it following Manifest. But so for me, it was researching final mile technology and seeing if anything was there to support it. And by final mile, specifically B2C final mile technology and hunt it. And it was a great medium for me to go research that type of technology, although I didn't have the time that I wanted to go hunt that down. So I was able to have conversations around that and kind of go back to my old technology roots or old conference roots to hunt that type of thing down. So if you're in the industry and want to find an answer to a problem, that's a conference that you can go to find the answer to your problem. That's a great solution to hunt that down. What was kind of your feedback from your team, Don? Did they kind of come back in alignment with you? Was there kind of the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, look, so formal feedback, we actually have our formal debrief at 3:30 this afternoon, so
Okay.
Eastern. So when we're done here, I'm going to that or one in between. But informal feedback, yeah. I mean, look, I said earlier the engagement, it was probably a third.
Sure.
Of that third of prospects or potential customers, I would say that close to half of that was new touches, right? And that's kind of how we track the return that we're getting on event is when we have a lead or a new prospect opportunity come into the system, we'll attribute it to our first touch, right? And we'll kind of track that through. And that's how we measure the return. So I would say of that engagement, and you guys saw the activity at our booth, right? Busy all the time.
Right.
I would say close to half of that was new touches. And then the rest of that was progressing opportunities that were already in the pipeline. And maybe it was just, we talked to them at Manifest last year, but it never went anywhere. And it was that re-engagement and kind of moving things forward. So I think the team was really excited about that. The team was really energized. I'll play a little inside baseball here. Leaving the conference, we of course had our text group and a Slack channel dedicated for that. We kind of branded the green heart for Greenscreens, but then the heart because we just felt so much love, not just with each other as a team, but from the attendees, right? We felt the love. Yeah, green heart. Let's we'll make green heart the thing. But so that's kind of the thing. So the team was just really energized by the whole thing. We're all exhausted. I think, I certainly came home with a few fewer brain cells, and not for the reason that y'all think. I think I was just so burnt out that I was dumb. I actually kind of behaved myself, but I was just so burnt out. I'm like, I'm as dumb as a log right now because I'm dead. My brain is fried. But the team's feedback was really, really positive as well. And they kept saying, why are all these random strangers walking up to you at our booth and hugging you? I'm like, I don't know who these people are. Some of them, but they're like, Dawn hugs. I'm like, a hug, I'm a hugger. Okay. So,
sure. Well, fair enough. So
puppy park. I was the puppy.
I feel like we should talk about the Puppy Bowl booth because
Hunter, yes.
I don't even know what that company does, and I truly meant to look it up because I didn't want to be,
brokerage. It was Ease, right? Ease,
okay,
Ease.
that's what they do.
Yeah.
We need to do cats, Nate.
We need to do I'm not doing that. That sounds like hell. That sounds really, really bad idea.
Can't herd the cats.
Yeah, exactly. It would have to be a cage, and then you'd have to have like insurance and people to get caught, and sounds horrible. So
the puppy park is super cool because the dogs are all up for adoption. Which is really neat. A little difficult because people are traveling obviously and they're local to Vegas. But it's a nice break from you have everything going on, and then everyone's on, like you talk about, from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. You're just on your professional game, right? But then just for 20 minutes, you can just go and just roll around with a puppy and like just be a regular human being.
Right.
that's one of the things I think I love about this conference the most, and why I don't consider it a normal conference, because you have these incredibly humanizing moments that I think breaks down a lot of walls, and it encourages the conversations that happen, and people just take different steps versus, all right, let's exchange information. We'll talk to you next week and we'll do the follow-ups. And it can just be very impersonal. And for whatever reason, like, I feel like after you get done holding a puppy, you want to talk to somebody.
You want to hug
Yeah,
somebody.
You do.
Susan needs to bring her goats. We need a
Yes, I
goat
do.
party.
Oh,
There's just
Oh,
4.
she
We could
is.
do it.
Go,
Yeah.
yoga.
Yeah.
TCA is in Nashville.
so wait, the Greenscreens
Happen.
GLCS petting zoo.
There we go. We're on to something. I might. I think. Do we still have the goat video out
You know,
here?
we
Do
can do like
still
a
have?
combined
Well, I
logo,
sent
right?
you the
With
picture,
GPS
the
at the end.
Amazon effect in Tennessee. I sent Nate a picture if he can get it up of the goat. My goat's mobbing my poor little Amazon driver.
Oh,
Yeah,
UPS is big on giving dogs treats. You
Yeah.
know, when they,
What do you
but
give a
all 4
goat?
of them, they got in the Amazon van.
but what do you give a goat for a treat?
They love oats, just
Okay.
like Quaker oats, dry oats. Yeah,
So maybe the Amazon UPS drivers have to start
right.
carrying
We're gonna have to
oats or
Ours is
Goats
so
and oats.
goats and oats.
Goats and oats, baby.
yeah, I don't have the goat thing anymore. So maybe I have the picture somewhere. So, but that went sideways. So not so much anymore. Nope, not that one.
That's a good shot though. Yep.
Yeah.
A little bit of
That's
Nate's vacation.
not. Got to take that down.
Vacation. Don't know about the dwarves.
So yep, not it.
You call
So,
us?
but yeah, so the goats thing, and that was ease, right? Or what?
Ease Logistics.
Yeah, they're so they do. They're actually a logistics group. They have trucks, they have trailers, they do non-asset. They kind of do a little bit of everything, if I recall. So yeah, that was kind of a different thing for them to do. But I love their little truck. That truck thing that they would bring around to conferences or whatever. That looks like a great idea. I'm not sure I'd do it. What was that? What it was? A speak?
Was supposed to be.
Oh, okay. It didn't have booze in it, but it was supposed to. Okay, gotcha.
I'd
Yeah,
also like
so-
to see some numbers on how many of the attendees stayed for NEO, or they may have stayed, but they didn't attend. I mean, it was fabulous for us. And to spend time with Alex and to meet Blythe and some of the other influencers. That was great. But I would love to know kind of the numbers of who made it to that event.
It looked low. The attendance
Yeah,
looked low. And
yeah,
I saw
it
a
did.
lot of people leaving Wednesday afternoon for sure. A lot of people that I knew were leaving Wednesday afternoon.
It was so well done. We had a blast.
I think that's a common thing at 3-day plus conferences, that people bow out the third day, midday, or earlier. I'm seeing that more and more with any conference that extends past the 2-day marker. That people are jumping out. They're either jumping in late or they're jumping out early, and they're not staying for the whole thing. So and I'm not sure why, if it's just too long. If they're coming in for a couple meetings and then bouncing or whatever the case may be, but definitely seeing that more and more. It's becoming a norm. I don't know. Are you guys seeing kind of the same thing?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I always feel bad for the people that have the panels or the sponsorships, on the afternoon of the second day, because it's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, right. They're getting half an audience, so
Right.
definitely.
But I mean, it's tough, right? If you think about it, especially going out to Vegas. Like, I'm on the East Coast, so I flew all day Sunday to get there, Monday through, and I wanted to go see Neo, so I stayed and ended up flying out Thursday afternoon. That's a long week, right? That's about 2 days more of Vegas than I want.
Yeah.
But was at another conference 2 weeks before that, so it's a lot. I think 2 days is ideal. I think once you start getting past that, right? Or some of these other conferences that go into Saturday morning, and it's like, no.
I think that's some of the feedback I gave the folks at Manifest was, to your point earlier, Susan, is a lot of people came in like they had a schedule, they had everything kind of like buttoned up. Like that Manifest 101, I think is important because of the breadth that this conference offers with the education, with the panels, with the caliber of people to kind of get people, if it's their first one or they haven't been in a couple of years, like, hey, this is what you kind of want to prepare for. Here's how you want to set yourself up for success so that you maximize your value. Because if you just go in and just kind of shoot from the hip and have no plan, it really is like just a shot in the dark. Is it going to be successful for you? And then they do have the after party too, which is super cool. I will say this: I don't think they can ever top the first year open air club underneath the Eiffel Tower at Paris, and the stage is a foot off the ground, so like you can literally reach out and touch Ludacris if you want to, if security can come grab you. But I just don't think that anything can ever top that one, and they shouldn't, because again, if you got 2,000 people around at one of these things, you do want a bigger stage in a bigger area. So. But again, I think giving folks that kind of 101 is important to, and you should do this for every conference, but specifically for this one, because it is not niche. It is a very broad conference to maximize value. I think is going to be important.
No, I agree. Well, with that all kind of being said, I think we're kind of running out of stuff to continue going down the Manifest route. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Dawn, where can you be reached?
So y'all can reach out to me at Greenscreens.ai. So just my first name and the company. You can always check out our website at Greenscreens.ai or hit me up on LinkedIn, but don't try to sell me anything.
Oh. So I'm going to continue that one on just a little bit. Holy crap. Conference season. Everybody's getting email addresses. This is nuts. That's one thing I am tired about with conferences is they get the list of everybody that you're sending and they're selling the list of the people, or someone's getting the list of the people. And I am getting overwhelmed with solicitations, not only just conference lists, but my email is off the charts. LinkedIn is off the charts. Somebody build a solution that's better than what's out there right now to help me mitigate that. I will pay thousands of dollars to help me mitigate that. It's getting out of control.
I spend the first half hour and last half hour of my day every day deleting spam from my inbox. And then I pretty much ignore my LinkedIn direct messages now because it's all junk. So if anybody has sent me a LinkedIn direct message, I apologize because it's trash now.
I don't, if I know a person or if I think I know a person, I pay attention, but I have hundreds that I don't respond to, and I probably get 30 plus a day. 20 of them are probably not responded to at all. And you have to sound like you know what you're talking about to get me to respond. So,
so opening with, I talk to lots of people in your business. That's not going to work.
No. Or I mean, it's getting ridiculous. So, but specifically though, the conference season and selling of the information or somehow acquiring the information is crazy. It just triggers right at the moment you go out to a conference. There's a couple of them. I'm not sure if all of them are doing it, but it's getting a little insane. So, Don, we appreciate you having. I appreciate having you on.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. You said you're going to be at TIA. Any other conferences coming up?
So we will be at the Broker Carrier Summit in Kansas City at the end of April, as well as Capital Ideas. That's it, I think, for our major spring season conferences. The fall season will be another really busy one for us, I'm sure. But Capital Ideas and Broker Carrier Summit, those are the two big ones.
Oh. Awesome. Well, we'll have some people at Broker Carrier Summit. I'm not sure. Right now, I think we're bringing 3 or 4. So we'll have a bit of a showing and then have a few people walking TIA. So following that, but we have we're doing something insane though. Bain and I are going to Matt's and then following up TCA, so we have a full week of conference back to back. So we'll probably be dead to the world at the end of that one. So
I'm sure. I understand. I just did it in the fall, so 9 conferences in 11 weeks. It's a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think we have something like 7 or somewhere around that. So
Yeah.
I'm
All
gonna
right, guys.
pop y'all down and I'll finish up the rest of this. And once again, appreciate you coming on.
Rest up.
All right. Okay. So next week we have Evan Shelley coming on from Truck Parking Club. Evan has been, and that's not the right picture. Evan has been on the road with Chris Thomas. So Chris is a driver for Autumn Transport, and they've been kind of roaming around the country together, or not roaming around. They've been under dispatch, and Evan's been learning quite a bit about the industry. So I actually had Evan booked to be on the show prior to him going out on the road with Chris. Chris was actually one of the first people on the Driving Forward podcast when we started the podcast back in October, November. So, but Evan jumped in a truck with Chris back right after Manifest, and they're still on the road together. So looking forward to chatting with Evan next Thursday. So as we said earlier, we'll be at Matt's the 21st through the 23rd of March, following that up with TCA and then the Broker Carrier Summit. So we'll be pretty busy. TIA following that, TCA, TIA, and then the Broker Carrier Summit. So we are appreciative of you all watching today. Stay curious, stay informed, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation.